is James Dobb, hoping that this is his year.
The Bond ones are always great just because of the things and the budgets that there is and what you're doing.
James Dobb has done stunts for years, and now his daughter is about to follow in his footsteps. This is Gracie.
Part of our jobs is to be invisible. Yes, we are putting our lives online and there should be recognition for that, but also you don't want to make the magic of movies die.
The stunt guys are actually there to make the actors what they are.
Jamie has worked all over the world in roles that you might have never imagined, like chasing Damon in Bourne.
I have met some fantastic people there.
He's flipped cars and driven through the snowy mountains with Dave Bautista and Daniel Craig. Big names have never been something unfamiliar for Jamie. This is Beyond the Finish Line, from motocross to movies. Now, the motocross part is something not all casual film enjoyers may be in tune with, so I had to ask Jamie whereabouts it all started.
Basically, I lived on a farm, and I have two older brothers, Richard and Julian, who both had bikes, and my dad was never really into bikes, but his brother Robert was. I had my first motocross race. I got a Suzuki 50 that had gears. I went to the race, but my brothers were racing at a different one, so my dad didn't come with me. I went with a friend, and I was too scared to ride, so I didn't end up riding on the track. I raced the following week with my brothers and my dad there, and that was in Chesterfield. Funnily enough, probably one of my biggest competitors the whole way through my life was a guy called Paul Malin, and he was at that race. It wasn't his first race, but he was at my ever first race. But for all the way through amateurs, we both battled together. So it was quite a cool experience, really.
The first time I met Jamie, I think we were maybe 5, 6 years old. So we've known each other almost 50 years, bizarrely. We're both 53 now, so it's a long time to meet somebody, and the whole Dobb family are probably some of our oldest friends even to this day, despite rivalries and whatever that may have happened over the years. Competing with Jamie in the amateur ranks was kind of a strange thing, really, because initially when we first met, we had a few races here and there. I was from Leicestershire, he was from Derbyshire, Nottinghamshire, wherever, and so our paths, even though we'd had a few races, didn't really cross on a regular basis, if you like. But then from the age of sort of 6, 7, 8, we were riding national championship, which means you do your regional qualifiers, you do the semi-final, and then the British Championship was a 1 or 2 weekend affair.
The top helmet, my first race I ever won in America was at Unadilla in upstate New York, and that's the helmet I wore that day. The goggles are from Star Wars, where we were filming in Jordan, where you had the vehicles. They couldn't get the shot that they wanted with the actual bike and vehicles, so they had me on a motorcycle, and then they CG'd me. If
you get injured on set and you get injured on track, it's the same. You get injured at work, What systems are in place to protect those athletes or those stunt performers? I don't know. From a rider's perspective, you hope you have a decent insurance that covers you for when you're not racing and able to train and things like that.
Motocross is probably physically the hardest thing, as well as being mentally attuned to it, is physically and mentally very, very taxing. I would say as harsh as any sport there is, really. Well, I first saw him as a kid. I think he must have been 16 when he first started doing 125 Grand Prix. In 1990 was the 250cc British champ on a Honda, and was doing 250 Grand Prix then. In Sweden, I got taken out on the first turn of the qualifying race, and I ended up breaking my collarbone.
Disaster for both of the championship contenders, James Dobb and Eric Egan's. In the charge for the first corner, Egan's collided with Bellametti. His wayward machine then claimed Dobb. Both were left to pick up themselves and their bikes. Dobb pulled in after one lap with pain in his left shoulder. and was later diagnosed with a broken collarbone.
So I missed that Grand Prix. I flew home on the Sunday. I was operated on Monday. I was doing push-ups Tuesday morning, and I finished second in the French Grand Prix that weekend. It gets wilder. The following Wednesday, I went practicing. My bike broke. I crashed and broke this collarbone.
One of Jamie's favourites he worked on was Jackdaw, but it was obvious that he was in a pretty hazardous line of work, just from the stories behind his injuries. What about Gracie?
I came back a bit too soon from an injury because I knew I was in the talks for doubling Snow White on Snow White. I was at training, trampolining, and I was doing a Barani, which is where you do a front flip and you twist like 180 degrees. And I've been trying to get it for like a month, and I finally got it this night, did the last one, and because I didn't really try, instead of jumping up, I jumped in, and I landed on my leg whilst turning it, and on a trampoline, it's not forgiving at all, so I came straight back up on my knee. I went back to work a month later. I only just started to walk. I finally got my knee straight, and I was in a knee brace. I was like hobbling about, but I just went back just so they could see. I'm fine. I can walk. I can ride a horse. If the doubling comes up, I want it. Like I'm going to do it. But that was the only time I was like, ooh, I've got an injury, but I do want work. So I'm going to take work. And if I get worse, I get worse.
Gracie started giving me some more lessons on how to really sell it. But what I was being shown wasn't even half the story. So much more goes into it.
I take a lot of pride in my work, and I like to make myself proud, and what I do, I like to be proud of it, no matter like how big or small it is. It's even like I'll be watching a TV show and I know I put a lot of effort into it.
So after learning about the difficulties of it, I decided to speak to someone who's been all the way through stunt work, someone who's not only doubled but also directed.
You know, I did one day, did another day, jumped off a building, got hit by a car, got set on fire, you know, and you just go from thing to gig, and one day here, 2 days there, a week there. And that's how it kind of started off, you know, small things first. I've done, I don't know how many fire jobs, high teens, low 20s. And I mean, obviously not for a long time, but it's all the firework is just the preparation. It's obviously, you know, you can't be stupid about it, but I mean, it is dangerous, of course, but if you do the preparation correctly, it's not as dangerous as, I mean, it's always dangerous, but you can overcome a lot of the risks just by preparing. Basically, I'd asked for 4 months of full-time prep because it was a very big movie at the time. And 7 months before we started shooting, i.e. 3 months before my prep was due to start, official prep, I got a phone call from one of Tom's assistants saying, Tom wants to start training now. And I was like, wait a second, we're 7 months before shooting. And yep, he wants to get in shape, he wants to start. So I literally, that's the dedication that some people have. And, you know, I mean, even Matt Damon on Bourne, I mean, he'd spent 3 months of martial arts and gun training before he came to me, and then I choreographed the fights. And I was the stunt coordinator and fight director, and directed the fights, edited the fights on Bourne, etc. But Russell Crowe, I went to Australia, trained him for a month. Even over Christmas and New Year, he asked me to stay in Australia. I was only due to go out there and give him some instruction for 2 or 3 weeks and then come home for Christmas and New Year. And he says, can you stay? I'll still train through New Year and Christmas and everything to get in shape for it.
I'm not really a studio stunt guy, because they'll be on wires and all these kind of things. I'm more of a like precision driver or rider, where it's more stuff that you will do away on location. When you do that, it's normally like 4 to 6 weeks away, somewhere longer. It's all good in certain aspects, really. Like I say, I mean, if movies come, then I'll do them, but like I say, it's I do like being at home.
This isn't to say Jamie's not productive offset. He's been part of the Road to Recovery Foundation for years, aiding severely injured athletes.
Him and his wife and his daughter, for the most part, I mean, they truly are the face of the foundation in Europe. And it's getting ready to grow substantially. His daughter's been great. She's really taken, they came over for our annual board meeting in January, and his daughter Gracie's like really taken a strong passion for the foundation, and she's great, such a great kid and very different, navigating the foundation to get the foundation set up in Europe versus the U.S. And Jamie's been like massively instrumental in that even becoming a reality. And the only way we could have done it was with Jamie and the team of people that he had put together. So without him, there really is no foundation in Europe.
So there's much more behind the scenes to this family, which isn't something people normally take the time to think about. I asked the guys whether they thought stunt teams should be more recognised.
Yeah, when it comes to stunts and stunt people, I think, I like that I can do all these amazing things and be in all these amazing outfits and get to pretend to be the person. And, part of our job is acting too. And like, we've got to, sell a fight, sell a punch, sell a lot of things, or fight an actor and make it look like they've actually hurt us and throw ourselves about. And yeah, and then we can do all the fun stuff, do all the cool stuff, then we can still go to the supermarket and not get bombarded, which is nice.
In an action movie, the stunt guys are on doing way more work and everything than any other department, realistically. But like I say, that's what it is. We're there to make them look good, so there's that tussle.
They're the ones that really produce the magic. Yeah, you've got your A-lister Hollywood star, and you think of people like Tom Cruise who perform their own stunts and put themselves out there to make it look as real as possible. But then there are others that perform on his behalf. Rick, I know Rick, for instance, Rick English, who's been a double for him. So when certain things need that little bit more attention to detail, they'll call in someone like him.
Obviously, the people who do the big movies, the big budget, $200 million here, $200 million there. Those guys, obviously, they get massive recognition because they've just done a massive movie, and it looks great. But it's not so difficult if you bring in the right people. If you can go out on a small budget movie and you can put the fights together yourself, and then you can choreograph the car chase and make sure you bring in the two drivers and make it work without having to do it all on, blue screens and computers and everything else, that's a lot more challenging than, and a lot of the people that do that kind of stuff don't get the recognition.
I mean, it was originally inspired by a legend of the 1960s called Dave Bickers, who was European 250 champ way back then and very prominent on BBC grandstand television races and stuff. He was a really lovely bloke, and I'm sure Dave wouldn't have regarded it as needing to be his part in films to be highly publicised. And most recently, of course, the former world enduro champion and close mate of Naylor and Dobbers is Paul Edmondson, and Little Ed was Daniel Craig's stuntman double in the most recent Bond movies. But I don't think he would necessarily be, certainly Little Ed, as long as he was getting paid, I think he'd be happy with that. I don't think he'd be seeking, I think the whole point of them is that they do things almost undercover.
To be recognised for that scene, that chase, that jumping out of an airplane that's nosediving at 400, 600, 800 miles an hour, and you manage to get out and pull the cord last minute and you know what I mean? Whatever the scene is, why not? Why not?
The recognition is coming a lot sooner than later though, as it was announced during the making of this documentary that a Stunt Design Award is finally coming to the Oscars.
When you say I'm a stunt double, people are like, oh, okay, what do you mean? And I'm like, oh, so whenever an actor's driving a car, that's not them. Usually they're like, oh, and people forget and they don't realise, or like, if a movie's that amazing, sometimes, as it should be, you do forget and you just, you're that entranced with the film. You forget about everything else going on. I
think for the ones that are there every day, it would be nice for them to get acknowledged, because it is it's with a lot of the coordinators now, everything's looked at to the millimetre